What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Rawstocks. This is Rustic. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. This is coming out a request of some of the traders in the Rawstocks Discord that we start looking at some additional assets besides just Tesla. Tesla's a way that I kind of found a little bit of a niche because I saw that as I learned smart money concepts that there were no that I could find true Tesla smart money concepts traders as taught by the Inner Circle Trader, who is the pioneer of the smart money concepts as I do them. It's who I learned from. You can find him on YouTube if you're looking for more information. All of his mentorship is free from the 2022 and the 2023 mentorship. It's all online. It's all available on YouTube. Check it out if you ever want to know more about how I trade or why I trade or any of these smart money concepts that are interesting to you. That's where I learned. And then I continue to develop past those mentorships. But I saw that there was a niche in the Tesla trading community that nobody was doing the smart money concepts and nobody was applying it to options. It was all being applied to futures. It was being applied to Forex. It was being applied to just standard like share trading. But I didn't see anybody applying it to Tesla and to options specifically, and so I thought, hey, there could be a market there. So that's why I always do Tesla. But I've had lots of requests for us to be able to maybe look at some other assets in a more generalized way. So today I'm bringing you guys some additional charts. We're just going to look at daily charts. We're not going to look at anything beyond that, and we're going to look at quite a few different ones. So we're going to look at SPY, we're going to look at Netflix, we're going to look at Tesla, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, Nvidia, and LULU. Okay, beyond that, if there's any other ones you guys ever want me to look at, drop a comment down below, and we can consider adding it to the mix. If this is something you guys like and it's getting well watched, we can continue to do this. But it's going to be a lot more generalized. It's not going to be quite what I do with my Tesla analysis. So let's take a look at SPY. Let's look at where SPY came from, where SPY ended the week, and where SPY is likely to head going into next week. So we got some of our smart money concepts tools open as far as our indicators go. If you're ever interested in indicators, drop a comment or find me in the socials, which you can find in the description below. Happy to share some of my indicators and settings with you. I also got indicator tutorials. I have some of my indicators. I'm also willing to share my chart, my actual chart link with you guys, which you can make a copy of and save in your own trading view, so you have all the same indicators and trade just like me. So SPY, we got our premium zone, we got our discount zone, we got equilibrium, we got an order block here, right? But we're really far away from there. So where are we likely to trade heading into next week? Well, we got our 21 SMA rising. Okay, so let's just extend that out as if it was a trend line, because we can see the trend is kind of following that. So where's price likely to head into next week? Well, if we get, actually, let's use our path tool. It's going to go potentially a couple different ways, a couple more additional probabilities. So what I expect to see is a range breakout of previous day high, previous day low. So if we throw that in there, I expect a range breakout. I don't expect it to be incredible. I expect it to be kind of minimal. I don't expect a huge day on Monday, but what I do expect is some kind of breakout. Typically, highs or lows of the week is put in on Mondays or Tuesdays. Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So let's just say we get a flat day. Maybe just hypothetically, it's a little bit of a breakout to the downside. Okay. Tuesday, maybe we see a move that brings us back up. Manipulation makes it look like it's going higher. Sets a high on Tuesday, and then we get our real distribution on Wednesday and into Thursday. Right. So it could look something like that. It doesn't have to be more, doesn't have to be less, but what I'm expecting is for at least a test to be ran. And it could happen oppositely. If we trade up first, then we trade down. We might come back up and then come back down. But I do expect us to, at some point, and depending on what day we do it, that target's higher. So if we get it on Tuesday, 460, Wednesday, right? 461 and a half, Thursday, 462 and some change. Maybe it's all the way till Friday, right? 463 and a half. So it keeps going. That target keeps rising. as that 21 SMA starts to continue upwards. But I am looking for a test to be ran, right? We came up, right? We've never really come back down. We kind of flirted with it over here. Now we've blown off of it. So I'm looking for, especially because we kind of hit our high time frame liquidity up here, looking for us to come back down, run a test, maybe all the way down to this 460.24 in this higher time frame liquidity, or in this wick here that's extended out. Looking for something like that. So in the 460 range. So that's SPY. You can see we're overextended on the 1-day RSI, right? We topped out here. We're overextended. We come back down. We're way overextended now as we kind of had this blow off move. So looking for SPY to correct a little bit. Let's jump over to Netflix. Okay, Netflix is looking a little bit more weak. We came up, we set a top, we came back down, had a bigger drop, came up, kind of couldn't break these highs here. And then we got a nice daily bearish candle. We did find a little bit of support on that 21 SMA. You can see as we set up that divergence where we came back and basically set equal highs. We set a lower high on the RSI. So I am looking for this to come back down. We did find the support 2 days in a row on this 21 SMA, but I'm not looking for that to hold. What I'm looking for Netflix to do is I'm looking for Netflix to come back down and break this low, 445 and some change, 446. Okay, let's look at that using our path tool. Sometime into, why did that not save? There we go. Let's take off our liquidity levels. I think those are interfering with actually seeing levels. Okay, so we got this low here. We did find support. What I am looking for is for into next week coming down like that. I'm looking for the 21 SMA to roll over, potentially backtest it, and then take out this level at the minimum, and then potentially even come back down and take out this level down at the 413. Okay, we are pretty far out from earnings. Earnings aren't going to be until January, so we'll see. We could find support there and rally up. Not uncalled for, or unheard of. Totally a possibility. But we did have this high here. We did come back up. We couldn't completely take it. We've tried again, haven't been able to take it. So it is looking a little bit weak as we see that divergence starting to set up there. So don't expect to fall all the way down to 345, but wouldn't be surprised to see us fall down and take this low out. Okay, we have some fair value gaps in here. We have some additional gaps and fair value gaps in here. And then we have this giant gap here. So wouldn't be unlikely again for us to even by earnings time, maybe see us come back all the way back down into this gap. So if we do ever get down to like the 395, all the way to the 356, 355, 356, you're going to hear people saying this is garbage to buy. But that's going to be your levels, right? In this gap fill, in this breaker block, this yellow breaker block here, 394, that's a good buy. Right? And there are some gaps all the way down along this, but if we get into this gap, the sky's not falling. It's going to be good entry here for a run eventually higher. But right now, shorter term, I'm only looking for us to see that 21 SMA roll over, as we were not able to continue and take these highs, and we've continued to sell down and now seeing more selling pressure, looking for that level to get taken. So if we get a little drop here and a pop and we see that daily SMA roll over, you're going to want to grab it. You're going to want to take a short, and you're going to target this 446 and then potentially the previous month low at 415, like that right there. Okay, I wouldn't go too heavy on like a 400 put. I would be, if you were going to go heavier, go like a 440, 450. But you want to see this roll over first. You want to see that 21 SMA roll over, and then potentially a back test. That's going to be perfect. Perfect spot for entry. Right. So watch that SMA on that one because we've already got our divergence, and so we already have a setup for what could be a bearish position. Okay, let's take a look at Apple. Apple overextended as well, right? Everything's overextended in the market. We did take a new high on Apple. Got it in this candle here. We're getting dojis. Dojis are not a strong indicator that we're going down or up. We do have, again, similar to SPY, blow off, come back down. This one actually tested the 21 SMA. Okay, now we're blowing off it again. We're starting to set up divergence. This is looking like it's going to probably correct. So you could, kind of try to chase it and get your early entry. But, even then, we can stay overextended for a long period of time. We are at, all-time highs here? So, yeah, I mean, You can see lots of indication where Apple was at new highs here, overextended, just continuous periods of overextension, and it just continues to run up. So it's a gamble. If you want to try to chase a high with Apple, you certainly can. But right now, there's no confirmation. So if you want to wait for confirmation, what you want to see is prices start come back down, get below the 21 SMA, right? Lots of fair value gaps here that we could target. Breaker block here, right? So somewhere in this 183 level all the way down to 171. That would be my target, as I'd be seeing price come below the 21 SMA, potentially backtest, and then targeting these smart money concepts targets in the fair value gaps. Lots of fair value gaps. And then ultimately, there's a support block here, breaker block. So look for those. Looking at Microsoft. Microsoft, again, looking weak like some of the other ones, kind of like Netflix, right? But on Microsoft, we're below the 21 SMA. We already had the divergence start to play out. We've already seen a correction. Now we're looking for price to come back down and take this 263 low. Okay, we're seeing that 21 SMA rollover. So let's grab our path. Okay, so from up here, we come below. We come back up. We barely get above. We come back down below. We may not even get a full back test here, right? We did come back down. Now we've back tested it again. I'm going to be looking for price to come back down. We're going to take the low. We're going to take the previous low here completely, 362.71. Then we got 15-minute targets, as all these red lines here are 15-minute targets. Let's take out that liquidity here and just look at bigger time frame targets. So equilibrium, right? We got fair value gaps all inside of here as well. But I'd be looking for price to come back down at least to equilibrium. Okay, we've already come back and ridden this curving 21 SMA. I wouldn't expect too much more out of it, right? Because we're seeing price. We're already starting to see it flatten out to roll over. And so then I'd be looking for price to come back down into this equilibrium, potentially to this breaker block down here, where we saw a market structure shift, and then maybe all the way back down to this order block, or potentially this order block here. Okay, so that's what I'd be looking for. I'd also be looking for a fib retracement of this. Let's see, from high to low. Okay, I'd probably be looking for like ultimate goal like between 347 and 331. That's what I'd be looking for as a correction on a little bit longer time frame. As you see this daily RSI fizzle out probably into the end of the year, maybe into the early next year, depending on how quickly. I mean, we are getting like a 1-2. Let's see what that retracement looked like. Okay, that did bring us up into an optimal trade entry. So minimum target 141. Again, very similar to what we just talked about as far as where those targets are. We got fair value gaps all inside of there. So likely that we'll see price again come back down to this 230 or this 341 and some change, but it could be all the way into next year. So it doesn't have to happen quick, but this is also a 1, 2, 3, right, or an ABC, and so we'll be looking for this next move. Often the 3 waves and the C waves, they can be longer to play out as far as time goes. They're also usually the longest waves, so you can get the most action. So this is actually a really good entry here based on, it would have been a little bit better last Wednesday before the FOMC meeting, I suppose. But this is still a pretty good entry if you were looking at a short position on this, and your stop would be back up here at 348.26. But you're likely to catch a move down to 341, which from current price is like about $30. So that's not too bad if you were to be looking at taking a short position on Microsoft. Let's look at Google. Google is somewhere in the middle. RSI is around 50. We're below the 21 SMA. Kind of a bullish day. I see we're kind of we got a lower high here, lower high. We got a lower low, higher low, lower low. But now we're kind of, in a bit of a triangle. If we were to do a trend line here, we need to break down below that. We are likely to see the 21 SMA push us down through this trend line here. Let me take off those liquidity levels on this chart as well. But you'd be looking at like, trying to target 2 weeks ago's low, last week's low, 2 weeks ago's low, November's low, right? Even October's low. So if we get going down, your targets are kind of intermittent around here. All right, first we got to take last week's low. That was November's low, October's low. So there's your targets as far as 132.60, 129.66, 128, 123.71, 120.17. To the downside, to the upside, you're looking at last week's high. You're looking at 2 weeks ago's high. You're looking at November's high. Okay, and then we're looking at October's high over here. Right, so there's your upside levels. 133.72, 138.57, 139.49, 141.26. Right now, though, it's neutral to bearish because we're below the 21 SMA. Did close above Friday. Did close above Thursday's close, but still signs are pointing that we're heading further down. I don't really like this auto-developed like bearish falling megaphone pattern. But so instead I'm going to say watch this trend line. If that trend line gives up Monday into Tuesday, you can look to take a short position targeting some of these liquidity levels to the downside. And then you might ultimately look at this order block here being your final target. And let's just make it blue, right? So break this trend line, target these liquidity levels, potentially all the way down to the order block here. And then watch for RSI to give you some kind of look that you're bottoming like this candle here. Okay, we broke structure. RSI, appeared to bottom out, caught a rally. But it doesn't always happen. And you can see back here, at this bottom, even though we took a low here, RSI was still pretty strong. This looks like, Google looks like a strong stock, but when you get to those RSI bottoms, pretty strong indicator that we are at or near bottom. But also not necessarily, because you could see, well, I guess these were bottoms that rallied, right here technically was a oversold reading, in this candle here, could have bought, and you could have caught, some rally up. Same thing here. We get a perfectly oversold reading here. So they are pretty good indicators, at least for Google. Not every stock is a pretty good indicator for that, but Google seems to be a pretty good indicator with it. When we get down to a 30 fib or a 30 RSI, that it's a good time to buy at least like long-term calls. Probably maybe not as similar with the tops, but you can try it out and check it yourself. All right, let's look at Amazon. Amazon daily chart. Okay, high closed at or above previous day open. That's it's bullish. We're not overbought. We are above. We are above the 50. So bullish sign there on the RSI. Bullish sign on the candle closes. We are above a trending up 21 SMA. This looks bullish. Amazon would be a good buy. You are buying the top. So if you were going to enter, you'd be looking to enter, a position that you could average or build on. I wouldn't suggest taking any, long-term call options here necessarily. I see that we are at, like a top in a nice big move, but it's not an all-time high. We have, additional buy-side targets up here. What else we got? Got targets up here. Okay, there's all kinds of stuff that looks like there's fair value up here that we're targeting. So I wouldn't expect much more than 153.62 on the short term. Potentially up to 158, right? As an additional liquidity target in an order block, and then I'd look for some kind of correction. So if you were going into short-term contracts, I'd be looking at like a 160 maybe for a few weeks out, or even on the short term, just like a 150 at the money call. If you can find like, maybe a bounce back to this 21 SMA early on in the week, you might consider a 160 call to see if we could get a rip up to that liquidity target. Or not a 160 call. I'd take an at the money call targeting 160 to make that clear. So yeah, no indication that Amazon is coming down anytime soon. We've already come off this correction. We've seen a nice rally. We're still above the 21 SMA, still above the candle open and close from Thursday. So things look bullish on Amazon. Good stock, good strong stock. Let's look at. Gonna look at Meta here. Okay, Meta premium discount. We got a huge order block here, swing order block. We got a couple more order blocks here. We are daily bias is technically bullish. We had an engulfing candle. We're above the 21 SMA. Would like to measure this fib level. As you can see, we're kind of in and around the optimal trade entry zone, which isn't extremely appealing to me, especially because we had a top here. Not divergence, but we are starting to develop a trend, with a lower high. And so if you look at that, what we might be watching is we might be watching this triangle develop. Okay. That's what I'd probably be doing. Or even more so this aggressive, which is just a little bit tighter, right? Very close, but very much the same. So I'd be watching this aggressive line, and then I'd be saying, okay, if we break below the 21 SMA and we break this trend line, then where am I going to be targeting? I'm going to be targeting this previous low, 313.56. I'm going to target 305.63. I'm going to target 295.36, and then ultimately my symmetrical swing at 284.20. Now this is a daily chart, so you got to understand this is going to take some time to play out. So I'd be looking at like multiple months contracts out if you were looking for that, like, if you were going to take a put 284, I'd be looking at like, a couple months out, taking an at the money, you taking out of the money like 275 or 280 or 290, and then but take them out of the money, for months out. Or again, you can take an at the money put as well. They're going to be more expensive, but you can consider taking an at the money as well. Less time, but you're also not going to be targeting. If you still play them a few months out, you're going to still be targeting 284.20. But they can start profiting early as we start to run some of those. So you may not want to play it for 2 or 3 months. You may just want to play a shorter time if you're taking out the money and still get your profit. As we target 313.56 on Meta. So Meta, Meta's a little bit kind of, it looks all right. We're getting higher highs, right? Lower high, higher high, intermediate term high, higher high, where we're also getting, lowest low, lower low, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, right? We started to see a sign right here of a lower high. It's stuck. So we got this triangle. If we break out, you're playing it to the upside. If we break down, we're playing it down to the downside. We got fib levels to the downside. Not sure what we got to the upside. Let's take a look. If we're looking to the upside, we got an order block high, equal highs. Okay. Ultimately, we got a fair value gap that's right in here, which is right where the swing high was over here. So we could just be cocking back to run up higher into these liquidity targets. But the fact that we ended right here, right around some optimal trade entry, I wouldn't say it's a bad play. It's definitely a good play to try to take the short. You could look for a good entry, but let's just look at the risk reward, okay? Our stop loss is at the previous high. Our minimum objective target ends up being a 2.5 to 1 RVR, okay? And that's a $21 move. Second target, 3.53 RVR. Third target, almost a $40 move, is a 4.78 RVR. And full symmetrical swing is a little over 6 RVR or a $50 move. Okay, so I don't know about you, but that seems like a pretty good risk when you're only risking about $8 or $9 to the upside. You can be the judge of that one, but seems like at least with this current setup that we could be looking for a really good short entry here. And again, we're looking for the breakout of this trend line, or we're looking for the breakdown of this trend line. or you can just take the position and use the stop loss at the previous high. So a couple left. Going to look at NVIDIA. Going to look at LULU. A couple people like to trade LULU. It's been a big mover. We'll look at NVIDIA first. So NVIDIA, we are above the 21 EMA or SMA. Okay, let's see what we got going on here with our Fibonacci. So we're right back at optimal trade entry. So if you did want to play this trade leading into Monday and you wanted to take a short, oops, that's the long tool. We're going to use the short tool. Okay, short position. Okay, you're going to take your entry Monday, buy to open. Going to put our sell stop right here at the previous high, our minimum target at the previous low, 2.33 RVR, okay, or a $39.27 move. And then as we see that trade develop, it's a 3.25 RVR or a $54 move, or a 4.38 RVR, or a full symmetrical swing to 5.65 RVR, or a $95 swing on that one. Again, it's going to take time for that to play out. 1, 2, potential 3, or A, B, C move. Okay, so we'll just see. But we got, we also have fair value gaps inside of these fib levels. Fair value gaps here, fair value gaps here. So all within these fib levels, we got fair value gaps, and then we got an order block down here, ultimately at a swing order block right here, where our symmetrical swing is as well. So if that happens, we also have gap fills down here, but I wouldn't, be too greedy and risk it too much. If you were going to take a couple months out on some puts, I'd buy to open. I'd take out of the money 400s if you were going to do like a longer dated. If you wanted to play it a little bit shorter, you could take a couple weeks out on the contracts, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks at the money puts, right? And stop loss at 505, we'll call it 510 or 506, and then targeting, for 49.61 all the way down to 393.52, depending on how long you want to hold. But at the money is going to be good. They're going to be more expensive, but at the money is going to give you the profit potential faster, and also ensure that those contracts, are closer to the money, so that so that they have more of a chance of staying in profit on that shorter time period. But again, longer term plays, you might look at 400 puts. Lastly, we look at LULU. LULU also showed some weakness last week. So what we have on LULU, we have all-time highs, price at a premium. We broke this previous high here, right? Let's mark that off. Not surprised that we're pulling back after breaking that. But what we got is a fair value gap here. Okay, we've repriced into this fair value gap. We never closed it, but we did reprice into it. These ones, so you haven't priced back into those ones. So I'd be really just watching this fair value gap here early on into the week and see if we come back down. We got a blown out 21 SMA, right? So let's just extend that. That's not really trendy. It's so aggressive. So what I expect price to do heading into next week, right? And we took puts on this, is I expect price to come back down and then come up and back test it, then come into this fair value gap, or potentially even further down into these fair value gaps. Now we do have earnings, but it's not all the way till March. We just came out of earnings in December, which is I think why we've seen so much bullish activity. But I do think we're going to start seeing profit taking. LULU has been so bullish. Look at all this. Look at this. This is nuts. I mean, LULU's just to the moon, to the fucking moon, right? Just ripping face. So I anticipate that we, saw this kind of starting to set up as a head and shoulder. We ripped up, we stole the stops, filled the orders. Now I think we're going to start heading back down. And I ultimately think we're going to probably head back down into this fair value gap, some of these order blocks, maybe even down in this swing order block. Then eventually, make a decision, do we want to go higher or lower heading into March earnings? I mean, that's a ways out. So I don't think there's any catalyst besides, maybe Christmas and, the consumer buying. But let's look and see if that happens. We are in LULU puts that I think expire next week. Let me take a look. We bought them late last week. They are down a little bit, but let's just check and see where we're at with that. And so some of these are called out live on the Discord. Yeah, we got 480s. So current price closed today or Friday, End of market at 491.27. So we're down a little bit, like 91 bucks down on that 480 put, and those do close in the next this week. So we might look at, again, taking some additional puts. Might consider averaging down if it starts to look like we're going to head lower. Again, we are overextended, but we were overextended here. Although we continued up and then saw a nice, pullback all the way to a oversold reading on the RSI. We continue to rally there, so we did get overextended here. We saw a top, we saw price sell off. Let's see if we come back down and break this. Wouldn't be surprised. Shouldn't be too hard to get back down to 480. It's only, that'd still be like, even if it happened, Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, we could get back under 480, and I think we bought that. Why price was above 480, so we'll see. Should be able to get back down to it, but we'll be watching that. So good luck. Hopefully you guys like the new setup. Talking about some additional tickers. We covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 additional tickers when we typically only just cover Tesla. So if you like this setup, you like to continue to talk about some additional things other than Tesla, please drop a like in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with all your friends. Check out the description. We got a merchandise shop that has hoodies, t-shirts, blankets, all kinds of other stuff. Also have links to the Discords, the Rawstocks Discord, the Traders Helping Traders Discord. We got a special running on 7-day free trial on the Rawstocks Discord. Also the Traders Helping Traders Discord has some great premium content and additional stuff for the traders over there as well. So support the channel where you can. We really appreciate it. And don't forget, we also are close to our 500 YouTube subscriber giveaway, where we're going to be giving away a free Rawstocks t-shirt or tank top once we hit that 500 subscriber mark, and we're pretty close to it. So thank you guys for all the support. We'll see you on the next one. Good luck on your trading this week.